Easy peasy meow. Setting up your code laboratory and running your first programmer programs. You may already have a computer, but that is no good. You need a computer for learning. You can get the pre-assembled $100 Raspberry Pi 400. There are some extras you can get for it. And you will need a cheap $70 monitor. I recommend you get 2 cheap monitors. Or you can get the some assembly required 8GB version Raspberry Pi 4, not 400, sometimes for, about $150 or $170. Note to parents. When I was 10 or 12, I got a Commodore 64 that made all the difference. And it looked similar to the Raspberry Pi 400. I wouldn't know how to assemble a Raspberry Pi 4. I would need someone else to do it for me. But I was just 10 or 12. Anybody older than that can just follow a YouTube tutorial. The Raspberry Pi is a slow computer, but a very sturdy one. YouTube, for example, takes half a minute to load at first. But that is very good for learning web design and programming. The Raspberry Pi will just work too slow when the programs are written wrong. This is a Linux-based computer, not a Windows computer. Windows is a closed-source commercial product designed to make money. The money culture propagates through the programmers, and programs that are written for Windows often cost too much and do too little. The money culture misleads programmers into places that bring them nothing. This is a Linux computer. It uses the Debian operating system. Debian wraps Linux, providing commands and a proper graphic environment, and the ability to run many fancy programs. The most important program is the terminal. Just as soon as you get the computer set up, go to the terminal that you will recognize from hacker scenes in movies, and prepare to write your first command line program. You will join 2 commands together. That is how you create a new program, by wrapping 2 commands, and later on functions, but that's more complicated. When you connect 2 commands, you are connecting 2 boxes, 2 black boxes, with a wire. Most commands have a configuration, so you're configuring those boxes to do something slightly unique. For example, you can configure the echo command to say hello. Open up your terminal and say echo space hello, and you will see the word hello printed on the screen. Now we are going to connect it to another command to make hello appear uppercase. The other command is tr, short for translate. It will accept 2 configuration arguments from you. What to convert to what? So first, you will say the lowercase letters A through Z, and then the uppercase letters A through Z. Enter the following in your terminal. Echo space hello space pipe character space tr space lowercase a hyphen lowercase z space uppercase A hyphen uppercase Z, and press enter, but really quickly. You just sent the data hello from the echo command through the tr command, which barfed it to the screen because it wasn't connected to anything else. If you want to say hello world, use double quotes. It would work without it, but only because the echo command loves you and is trying to be really cute. The convention here is space is a sacred separator of arguments. That is how the terminal command line can understand you and stay simple. If you want to put spaces inside some text, you have to surround the entire text with quotes. Please try to think of the command line as a graphical program. That has then been reduced to text by a very angry nerd who got tired of clicking the mouse. Why should you drag a fancy cute wire between two shiny boxes on your screen named Echo and TR that have a little drop shadow and maybe some flowers, when you can just enter Echo Hello TR AZ on the command line? The command line is a total reduction of the user interface, in a way. It is a user interface reduced to its lowest terms, as Henry Thoreau would say. When you are programming for a while, the mouse kind of gets in the way. You just want to keep your hands on your keyboard. So if you get the commands for it, the quickest way to program something is opening up a terminal and then typing in the commands. This reduction of the user interface into keyboard-only type thing can get pretty crazy sometimes. The Raspberry Pi window that your terminal sits in is for normal users and all the cats who like mice. It can be reduced, however, to a power interface with the i3 tiling window manager. But that is something that you do later, as it would be way too overwhelming at first. Still, efficiently using i3 is a sign that you are a powerful coder and creator. It can help you get a strange but really fun job. And you get bonus points for using a reduced key mechanical keyboard too. I mention this because years into programming, people often regret not having this muscle memory for just using the keyboard. This is not something you should be seriously considering at first, but powerful programmer muscle memory is something you need to be aware of. It is similar to when a pianist plays the piano. They no longer translate the notes in their head. The notes are kind of in their hands. They come automatically. As of recently, the Raspberry Pi ships with an option to install Visual Studio Code. That upset some people. And I've noticed that people already made copies of it to remove Microsoft proprietary stuff and get rid of their custom open license. And Microsoft has enabled telemetry by default, so you may wish to disable that, even on principle. VS Code is a very popular editor, but once a true open source version fork gains in popularity, you should hop onto that. Executing your first command and poking at a proper code editor in a little laboratory corner in your room is a big deal. It's a huge deal. But please, take your time. You don't have to write any programs. Just have your code lab ready. And when you feel like it, if you want to test out some things, do install Node and create and run your first JavaScript program. And maybe take a look at some JavaScript tutorials. Finally, whether or not your laboratory is secret, it is always a good idea to start practicing, "Didi, get out of my laboratory!"